Murdoch. I'm coming to get you.
Remember, Sally, when I promised to kill you last? I lied. Get off my plane.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
John, I'm not gonna shoot you between the eyes. Shoot you between the balls.
The disease. And I'm the cure.
I'm gonna take you to the bank, Senator Trent. There can be only one.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
Yippee-ki-yay. I'm going to kill them all, sir.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Give Me Back My Action Movies, the podcast. I am one of your hosts, Charlie. With me, as always, is Nate. Say hello to the people, Nate.
Good morning, Charlie. I'm really sleepy. What'd you do to me?
I have nothing to do with this, mister. I have 2 nights of just catting around out and about all over the state of Ohio.
Yeah, I threw us off schedule and I'm doomed.
Big time throwing us off schedule, man, because now we have coffee and Costner today. That's what we're doing.
Costner and coffee. Hey, mocha and Costner.
Yeah, a little mocha, little frap and a. Nah, I'm not going there.
I can't think of a Venti Costner.
Just
A hopper and a what's another coffee name? I don't know. I don't even know how to order at Starbucks. I always panic.
I don't either. I don't even go in there. I'm done. I'm done with Starbucks, man. I don't speak your language, man.
I'm real tired, and we're doing this Saturday morning.
I can tell, man. You're little off your game here.
Out in Cincy all night, and then wake up at 7 in the morning after getting home at like 1 in the morning. So here we are.
I asked you when you wanted to start, so it's your fault, not mine.
Because I still think like that I'm going to be filled with energy at any time of the day, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh no, in the morning I'm definitely awake. It's like, no, I'm not.
No, it's not. Although I will say, thankfully I had the extra time to make my way through this extended cut of the movie. So I guess they know what movie we're doing, but we're supposed to say the words now. So we are covering Waterworld, man.
But because we are professionals and we definitely talk to each other before we watch the movie, I text you last night going, which version did you watch by chance?
Yeah, so I watched Ulysses cut and you watched theatrical cut. So
yes, which is going to be cool.
Yeah.
Because now we kind of get the dynamic of what's all different between the two. What you had watched, what I had watched.
Yeah.
I had bought it used at a local game store for like $5 on Blu-ray. I was like, cool. And then after watching it, had learned about the Ulysses cut, which is very interesting that it's not a director's cut.
No.
I think that has to be put out there. It's a cut from 2 different television airs, but released in high def and uncut.
Okay.
From what I read.
Yeah. So Arrow distributors put it out, and I had never seen this. Honestly, never really heard of it till like last year. But essentially, this was a fan cut. There was, you know how television, when they air it for TV, they cut some stuff out, but they always seem to add scenes we never saw in the theaters.
It was always strange.
Always strange. So there's all these additional scenes from like overseas and a couple of television ones. But I think there's like legit deleted scenes in this.
Well,
because
the studio backs the Ulysses cut. Like they're the ones that allowed it to be released. So this is even more strange. The fact that a studio doesn't like try to kill this project right out the gate.
Right. So Kevin Reynolds' original cut was over 3 hours long, and I feel like this is probably the truest version we'll ever see of what he actually intended to come out. The studio and Costner took over at the end of production. Him and Reynolds went into this as friends. Costner recommended Reynolds to direct, and they had a falling out. Costner finished the movie without him. They made amends years later and did.
Well, they had a fallout because they did Robin Hood together as well, and they had a fallout during that. And it
Yeah,
took a producer to like, or maybe the writer, one of them was like, "No, you two are gonna sit in this hotel room and get along again, like
yeah,
two kids, like two brothers on a road trip." You know?
and they fell out again, and
Yeah.
then they made up and worked again. So they re-edited everything to get the theatrical cut that we all the one I know by heart is the theatrical cut, and I really wanted to watch the Ulysses. I wanted to see what I was missing, and I was like, I'm really happy I watched the Ulysses cut. Um, but I'm glad I saw theatrical first because it's definitely more action paced and action packed. Ulysses cut adds world building. Um, and it explains so much more of what's going on around them.
Well, you might
And
be able to answer some questions I have
I might
today.
I very well might
I
be
read a
able
little
to.
bit, you know, as I do want to see the Ulysses cut. Obviously, this is an infamous tank of a movie,
Per I guess them. I don't know. I've loved this movie since it came out. So
but I
I
mean,
I
as
I
far as
money making,
box
yeah.
office went,
Yeah.
yeah, like this was one of those movies that everyone always talked about. Like I remember even as a kid, like, oh no, it's a bad movie because it bombed. Like that was just like the way it
Mhm.
people treated stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. It there's a lot of money
I
wrapped up
mean,
in this thing.
movie cost, and this is crazy in 1995, $175 million
Yeah.
on
And
an original IP. This isn't based on a comic book. This isn't based on like a series of novels from back in the day.
no.
$175 million, and it only grossed worldwide 264. So when you throw in marketing and delays and everything, this did not. No, it did
No.
not do well.
No, it I can't I
And because it
uh,
didn't do so well, a lot of people write it off as being a bad movie, and I call bullshit.
100% bullshit, dude. I remember watching this movie for the very first time with my dad, and it was after we had all heard about the critics panning this movie terribly. You know, they were this was the big joke in 95 and 96 was how bad Waterworld was, how ridiculous
Yeah, it
the
was the
budget.
butt of every joke on
It
like late night television,
it
basically.
it was, and I remember me and dad sitting down to watch this movie, and we got done going, "What the hell are they talking about? This movie's fantastic." Absolutely loved this movie since I was 15 or 16, and I watch it every year. I've had the VHS, I had the DVD, I never did get the Blu-ray, um, but man, I'm so glad I waited and got the Arrowverse with the Ulysses cut. I guess there's a 4K, and our buddy Owen, he reviewed it and he's like, doesn't really add anything. The picture doesn't really look that much better. Stick with the Arrowverse. It's the better version to get. And I was
It's
like,
good to
cool.
know.
I'm going to
Good to
order that.
know.
Yeah.
Um, this is too like the '90s was Pete Costner.
Oh, Costner was everywhere, man. Costner was bankable. I
Like
mean,
the
this is,
late '80s, when you go from Untouchables, Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, Dances with Wolves, Robin
yeah,
Hood, JFK, The Bodyguard. Like the dude just had a string of like everyone loved him, and then it was like right when Wyatt Earp, bombed, and that was a 3 hour long movie, and that's why Costner cut so much
yeah,
of Waterworld down because he's like, oh, my last 3 hour movie bombed. I don't want this to happen again.
right. It was that point of, this was, I guess we could say, kind of the start of the longer saga type movies. You know, we're used to it now. Hell, Marvel movies are almost 3 hours long anymore, but, it started, with, like, the Lord of the Rings trilogies were a
Yeah,
lot longer.
2001. Uh,
King Kong when it came out, the Peter Jackson one,
yeah.
super
I
long.
personally have never seen The Postman, but a coworker, I was telling him that we were covering Waterworld, and he's like, "Oh, dude, watch Postman. It's awesome." I'm
See,
like,
I'm same.
"Okay, now I gotta do it. Now I gotta check it out."
I haven't watched it either, and I keep reading stuff like it's post-apocalyptic, it's all I'm like, "How have I not
I just
sat
remember it's
down and
about a
watched it?"
man like, "I'm delivering the mail.
Yeah.
In a world that's outlawed postage stamps, I rise above with envelopes and a tongue."
Yeah, I guess that's kinda me too. I was just like, I nothing about the description ever jumped out at me, like, unlike Waterworld, which literally comes out and says, "We're Mad Max, but on water." And
Yeah,
by God, that's
exactly.
what they give us, you
Uh,
know?
I have not seen this movie in years. I mean, years. I just remember him pissing at the beginning and drinking it, and
Everyone
then I
remembers that.
remember the, jet skis crashing into each other, and every time there was a jet ski on screen, I was like, "When do they crash into each other?" I was like, "Ah, it's the end of the
Yeah.
movie."
Yeah, you're sitting there like, "How does Dennis Hopper die in this movie?"
But
"Oh, that's how."
now, as I watched it, I went, "How the hell did no one die making this movie?"
You're
I
not
mean, no one died in the movie making, and I don't get it.
no.
Because, like, when you're seeing the shots of them out on the water and stuff, like, they had to go for, like, I think 3 hours or some shit like that to get to filming locations each day. And they didn't film on a studio, like, set, from my understanding. Like, someone made the bad decision of, "We'll just film it on real water. What's the worst that could happen?" It turns out everything.
So, yeah, I tell you what, we've jumped way ahead. We need to get the trailer done real quick, and then I wanna jump into how they filmed it and about the death why there was no deaths in this movie, because it is interesting, there were some close calls. So, let's drop the trailer real quick, let's get that out of the way, and then we'll do our back of the VHS, and we'll jump right into this movie, man, there's so much to talk about.
Word.
The future. The polar ice caps have melted, and the Earth lies beneath a watery grave. Those who survived have adapted to a new world.
What did you see out there in the 15 lunars?
Such as?
An end? An end to all this water?
You're asking the wrong person.
Pure dirt.
So what's the word? We trading or not?
And the human dream is the search for a mythical place called dry land.
It doesn't exist!
How can you be sure?
Because I sail farther than most have dreamed. I've never seen it.
This place, this whole way of living, it's ending.
Straight line leading directly to dry land.
Dry land is not just our destination, but it is our destiny!
Universal Pictures presents a world unlike any you have ever seen. Kevin Costner, Dennis Hopper, Gene Triplehorn. Waterworld.
It's the movie voice guy, man, movie trailer voice
That
guy.
was a really good movie voice
I
guy.
love Now, there was another trailer, it was the one I actually wanted to play because it's quite famous, is, James Earl Jones did a trailer for
What?
Waterworld. Oh, yeah. but he only has like an opening monologue of like 15 seconds, and then it's nothing but music and scenes from the movie. No dialogue, no nothing else.
I need trailer voice guy going in a water world.
I swear this is like probably the one where everyone's like, doesn't he say in a world in every? I think this is the closest we ever get, and that's where people get that confused.
Maybe.
He did water world. But yeah, it's always that in a world. But so that's our trailer. So that gets us all hyped up to go to the theaters. Now let's do what gets us hyped up to rent the movie off the shelf, man. You ready for the back of the VHS, Nate?
Ready.
All right. Kevin Costner stars in the most anticipated movie of the year, a turbocharged action-adventure epic, unmatched in sheer excitement and heart-pounding suspense. In a future where Earth is covered with water, the human race struggles to survive on a dilapidated boats in makeshift floating cities called atolls. But some still cling to the legends of a mythical place called Dryland. Seeking clues to its whereabouts, the evil Deacon attacks the atolls, which houses young Enola and her adopted mother Helen. When a mysterious drifter known as the Mariner is caught up in their struggle, he finds himself catapulted into an explosive war of good versus evil with the open sea as his battlefield. Only later will he discover Enola's wondrous secret, a revelation that may change the destiny of all mankind. With refreshing humor, groundbreaking special effects, and awe-inspiring action sequences, Waterworld sets a glorious high water mark for imaginative, thrill-packed entertainment.
I love when you introduce the segment of we should start reading it off the back of the case.
Yeah.
And it's like, 19 paragraphs long, and then you're trying to do it in one take, and then I can tell your voice is like, please let me get through this. I need a drink of water.
The other thing is that it's always broken up with the name of the actors too. It would be like Helen G. Triplehorn, Deacon, Dennis Hopper, and I'm like, I don't want to read that part.
You don't want to read that part, but your brain's trying to.
And so I'm like,
Amityville one, I was struggling by like the last sentence of like, I'm dying.
I don't prep. It's not like I practice that. It's literally I find the picture on Google, I save it to my phone, and I read it.
We do nothing but prep for this podcast.
That's my bad. That's my bad.
All week long, we definitely sit and get everything in order, and we definitely let each other know what version of the movie we're watching.
I take meticulous notes. I do all this. I tried to do that. I don't do notes anymore.
This was the first movie where I did not write down any notes. I just wanted to sit back and watch a fun action movie.
I don't need to take notes, man. I know this movie by heart. Let me rephrase this. I know the theatrical cut of this movie by heart, which made watching the Ulysses cut kind of like, what the hell? That's not right. What is this? But I also knew every new scene though, because I've seen this movie so many times. But
so it was able to stick out more.
Yeah. Dude, it's
there
like
more
a sore
Dennis
thumb.
Hopper in the Ulysses cut? Yes, because he steals the show in this movie.
He does. Before we do that, I did promise we were going to take off where we left off a second ago. So there were numerous near-death experiences on this movie. Kevin Costner's stunt double got swept out to sea in one of the swimming scenes that the crew had to go rescue him. Kevin Costner almost died. He was tied to the mast of the ship. When I say tied, probably harnessed really well. And high winds came in and was rocking the boat, but it was so high the crew couldn't go up to get him down, and they had to sail away out of the storm with Kevin Costner attached to the mast as he goes through. Like, it was one of those things, like, he easily could have tipped and there was no way he could have got loose. Like, there was just tons, like, people just constantly wet. That's
the thing, like, your feet being constantly wet. I imagine everyone just has trench foot by the end of like day 2.
Costner did a interview where he's talking about. He goes, "Look, the crew on this movie was amazing, and a lot of them are friends and were friends." He goes, "But there's only so many times in a movie that I have to perpetually be wet. That in every take they have to douse me with water. That I really started hating these people." He's like, just constantly splashing and throwing water on me for every take. You kind of don't like people anymore at the end of that.
And
You know,
like, I don't know. Like everyone looks like they've been sunburnt to death. I don't know if that was real or not.
so all spray tan.
Spray tan, really?
If you look really close, and I thought it was only Costner, and it was a that they did it on purpose. No, it was on Dennis Hopper and everything. The lines around their eyes, from
Yeah,
squinting.
from squinting.
When they aren't squinting, there's all these like white streaks coming
Yeah,
off
I,
their eye.
I,
They look
I
like Cable from the X-Men,
they all
with the
did look like
scar.
Cable. They were all time travelers too. It's very strange.
But
Didn't understand that part.
it's where the spray tan was wearing off. And I was like,
Okay.
"Oh, that makes sense. Okay." Um, but yeah, it was just this for everyone that has talked about this movie since, it was a miserable experience to film this movie. It's just, and like you were talking about, they were filming on set in Hawaii. No one bothered to check, okay, what does the weather usually turn into? They like 3 production halts for hurricanes. Um, one of the sets drifted away and they had to go get it. And they did have to travel because the scenes couldn't have land in the background. So that's how far out to sea they would have to go till you couldn't see any of the land.
Which is crazy because modern, like nowadays, if someone were to try this, they would just CGI out the
Right.
land.
This
You
is
would go out
still
just far enough to make it look like you're in the middle of nowhere, but then CGI out the back. That way you're still close. But this is 95 and this is being filmed in 94, probably 93, something like that. You don't have that luxury.
no.
The other thing that blew my mind away, like we know like Tatooine, the original one from A New Hope,
Hmm.
there's that set design is still out there in Africa, I believe, or something like that, wherever they filmed
I forget
Tatooine.
exactly where it is, but
But
yeah,
like
it's one of the
you could
deserts.
still like visit that basically.
Yeah.
And the main like trading post that's in this movie, I was just like, how the hell did you get it all out there? And like you
Yeah.
just left it, right? Like I'm fairly certain if I were to go to the Pacific Ocean and just keep
Mhm.
going, eventually I'm gonna run to Waterworld, right?
No, unfortunately, no. It was a quarter mile round circumference. It was
It's
huge.
massive, absolutely
Um,
giant. Like the set designs on this movie are impressive as all hell.
I love everything about how this movie looks, how this movie feels. Like you said, there's very, very little CG because A, CG was stupid expensive at the time, and B, it just worked better to do everything practically. That's why they were on water. That's why they were doing all this stuff. That's why every explosion is an explosion. There are some green screen scenes in the movie, and that's just a
Oh yeah, the
product of its
bungee
time.
jump has got a lot of green screen spliced in with stuntman.
There's that. Now the ship, the Exxon Valdez, which is always hilarious at the end of the movie. They actually built like 2 or 3 of them, and the largest part of it was built like on an airfield, and they were filming on top of the deck of that.
I
And they,
do need the Mythbusters to come in and get a giant oil tanker, right?
yeah,
And then like I don't know, 2,000 people and give them all oars and see if they can even get that thing to move.
I love that whole
I
segment.
really need to be proven that that can work.
Why not? Why? I
'Cause
mean,
I
it's
just
floating.
don't believe it. I feel like everyone would be like, "We've been paddling for days," and like Dennis Hopper's up there, like, "We haven't moved a single square inch whatsoever, but keep them going."
We're just going with the current. That's why he said they'll row for a month before they
Yeah,
even
before they
question
start
where
to
we're.
question.
But it was just talking about the like the stunts and stuff like that. Kevin Costner did most of his own stunts in this movie. The zip line scene is him. He is zip lining with the explosions going on behind him because they had to time it out. And Kevin Reynolds had to prove it was safe and did it before Kevin Costner did. because the studio is like, no, you're not putting Costner on. And Costner's like, I want to do it. Costner also does the bungee jump. Now, I'm sure it's a controlled bungee jump, safety stuff and then on set and things like that. But that's him falling, down and going back up. So much of this is, the stunt team alone on this movie is the saving grace really to this film. The jet boats and the airplanes, that's a freaking airplane flying around the ocean, in Hawaii. It's awesome. His boat is real. That boat actually transformed.
Which cracked me up that he has sails, and so many people were like, "What?
What?
What's this doing?
When you
sails?
When you see it,
How?"
when you see it the first time, though, man, you're like, okay, what kind of boat is this?
Every time that this, they show him, just controlling a sailboat, they make it look like it's this intense action scene of him, cranking the knob and, the turns and stuff, and him, jumping or, swinging on a rope to get somewhere else on the boat, and it's it's not that big of a boat.
It's sizable, though, man. The cool thing is they built that boat based off of a type of, and I can't remember the name of it. It's got a weird name, but they're racing boats.
A schooner.
And it's not a schooner. It's not a schooner. It's what's the Family Guy thing with Peter acting like his car's the pirate ship? But they built the boat. Kevin Costner stayed on the boat for 3 weeks before the movie to get comfortable on it and to seem like it's natural for him to move around on the boat. 3 weeks he stayed on that thing, just on a boat. I love that. I love finding out those little tidbits about these movies. It's just that makes sense because he really does look at home on that boat. Everywhere else he looks, pardon the pun, like a fish out of water, but on the boat, he looked comfortable. Like he knew where to step, where to jump. Also, Pirates of the Caribbean owes everything to Waterworld.
Oh, now this is a very bold statement. So
am I wrong? Because not only does the Deacon have a fake eye, but it rolls across the floor like the one pirate dude from the Pirates of the Caribbean movie that kept losing his eyeball. Kevin Costner swings from masts and ropes in these amazing, fantastical ways, just like Jack Sparrow does. The music is just this fantastic, nautical action adventure kind of music that plays. And it's not the exact Pirates of the Caribbean. It's pretty freaking close at times.
But does Waterworld owe everything to Pete's favorite movie, Cutthroat Island?
Was Cutthroat before this one or after?
I feel like the 90s, people just weren't ready for water-based adventures, and that's why they kept flopping.
I like Cutthroat Island, though.
I do, too. I
really
remember liking it. Definitely Pete's favorite movie of all time. Let the record show that Pete absolutely adores Cutthroat Island, and everyone should send him a copy of Cutthroat Island.
Heck, send me a copy. I'm down for it.
Yeah, send us a copy. That way we can cover it. And if I can remember if it was a good movie or not.
Cutthroat Island, 1995. Same year.
Same year. We had two water bombs in the same year.
Stop calling it that, damn it. Gina Davis is a national treasure, sir.
She is. It. When can we cover The Long Kiss Goodnight?
Dude, it is on the list.
When can we do that?
Isn't it kind of a Christmas movie?
You know what? There's snow on the ground. Oh, that's coming soon.
I love that movie, man. I love Long Kiss Goodnight. It's so much fun. You keep doing this. This is like the third movie. You're like, we got to do this movie before the end of the year. And I'm like, dude, we schedule out 2 months ahead of time. We don't have that much time on the schedule.
I'm getting really excited for more movies.
That's a good thing, though, man. That's a good thing.
Exactly.
I was super excited for this one.
I was too, mainly because of how long it had been. And I remember it's like, nah, it's wow, Mad Max on water. And then like when we get that first shot of the trading post, and it looks just like the Road Warrior when Max goes to the sanctuary. It's like, damn, this is
Yeah.
so much like Road Warrior.
I mean, the makers of Waterworld were like, yeah, we watched Mad Max. This was our influence for doing this movie. So for anyone that's like, it's just ripping off Mad Max. And
What's the
what
problem?
you,
What's the problem with that?
what
Why is that a bad idea? We need more Mad Max in the world.
how many movies rip off other movies? And it's not like, it was a direct rip off. They went, we got water. Speaking
Instead
of
of sand,
yeah,
we'll just do water.
speaking of water and the way this movie starts, this is probably one of my favorite intros into a movie, from the production company logo of the globe, and you watch the land disappear into the water, and the camera zooms into the earth, and now we're on Waterworld. I'm like, I love the beginning animation of this movie. It's just one of the most clever ways. Like when your logo is the globe and your movie's based on the globe getting covered in all of this water, why wouldn't you do that? I love how this starts out. Also, if all the polar ice caps melted, it wouldn't cover the earth like they show.
I mean, that's I don't know. Like, we know eventually California's just going to get drowned. Like, that's going to happen. Like, that's
It's
just
going
inevitable.
our coastlines are going to change, but like it's literally going to stop at the mountains where I'm at in Virginia, and we're going to lose a lot of like coastal.
We would
Like
lose a lot of surface area, but
we
I
would.
don't know how far in the future this movie takes place.
So I was looking into that, and there are a few like people that have said, like the production designer guy said, it's basically 2500. It's the year 2500.
Okay, so that I'm cool with because like just their pure ignorant, or not ignorance, but their pure like whimsical of not knowing that the land is directly below them. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like the survivors of the polar ice caps melting would pass that tell on from generation to generation of like, yeah, we used to live on land and then the water rose. Where in the movie, everyone doesn't seem to know that the water
Well,
has risen. That's where I was confused. I was like, maybe the Ulysses cut covers this better because the land they find at the end is Mount Everest. So you're at
yes.
the peak, the highest peak on Earth, but
So
it doesn't look like Mount Everest. But also the polar, ice caps have melted. So we can safely say that that would turn into like a paradise haven.
so a couple of things. I mean, and screw it, let's light speed right to the end because I never knew this till I started finding out about the Ulysses cut. It never says it's Mount Everest at the end of the movie in the theatrical cut. They just end up on dry land. In the Ulysses cut, they did film a scene where Helen and Enola find a plaque, and it's the plaque that's at the top of Mount Everest from like 1953 or something. The people that first reached the summit up there.
So they actually
And
show, because I had to read that it was Mount Everest. I was like, oh,
so
okay.
they show it, and there were some people that actually deciphered Enola's tattoo on her back to be the longitude and latitude numbers. That is the longitude and latitude of Mount Everest. I keep wanting to say Mount St. Helens. Don't ask me why. But of
No, that's the one's going to kill us all at some point.
exactly Kilimanjaro. So they literally go, yeah, it's Mount Everest. The tallest peak is the only thing not covered.
And that's another thing that I'm confused on. And I don't think the Ulysses cut's ever going to explain this.
Probably
These
not.
people give their daughter a tattoo on her back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that was her parents.
That's my guess.
I don't know how any 8-year-old would sit still for a tattoo, especially one of that much black depth.
I want to say she was probably an infant based on the timeline.
Could
when
be.
it happened.
Could be because the just bones being there.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, so then they like set her off the sea, and that's how she comes to with her adopted mother, I'm guessing. But I'm like, you guys couldn't have been that far away from the land this whole time, right?
See, that was something I was thinking of too. So there was the one thing the Ulysses cut adds at the end is it wasn't just a hut with her parents in it. it was a little community of huts. They
Oh,
actually
really?
show like a
A
village.
village actually, like,
Yeah.
surviving on land.
So there was always this thing I never really understood, and it made more sense when it was just 2 of them. Was even Gregor makes a comment of they knew they were dying, and so they sent her away. Now that there's a whole, like, village community, I'm like, what were they dying of, and what was sending the daughter away like Superman off of Krypton gonna do? Um,
Yeah, if anything, like, all right, now you just sent her off to her certain death.
right, good luck. 'Cause I'm still saying, I swear she was like an infant or something, so it's like, did they have like a feeder tube so she could, or did, just throw a loaf of bread in there and say good luck, and she gnawed on that for a little while? You know, there's some things that don't make sense, and you're not supposed to think that
And here's the
deeply
thing.
into it.
Am I going in depth with every action movie known to man?
God, no.
No. And
God,
I'm not
no.
doing the same thing with this. The only reason is because it's such a, like, to me, an interesting concept
Yeah,
that you do kind of like get caught up in some of the hows and whys. But at the same time, I remember there was an issue of The Walking Dead where, like, Robert Kirkman always does like a Q&A that he answers fan mails at the end of
yeah,
each issue. And one of them was like someone asking like, why don't you like mention the people that have contacts and trying to find contact solutions, or women having that time of the month, or people looking for band-aids, stuff like that. He's like, if you do that, then you get so caught up in all the monotonous stuff, it takes away from the story. And then
yeah,
you're just, each issue is the quest of the week or quest of the month of, oh, now we need to find contact solution or toilet
yeah.
paper. Like, that's not what drives your interest. It's stuff that, yeah, you think about, but there's
Right.
you're just gonna glaze over that for the sake of
Sometimes
storytelling. And that's totally cool.
sometimes there's stuff that should stay minutia.
We're
There's
here
still
to be
there's
entertained. We're not here to
yeah,
just like, I'm here to escape my depressing real world, not just keep on
right.
being a part of it.
Let me dream of the eradication of the human race and living in a water world, damn it. That's what
Damn it,
I wanna
that's
do.
what I want. Like, there's cool stuff here. Like, obviously, you can't bury people, but they have
No,
like a tar, like green, gross pit that they throw you in.
it's the recycling, and I dig it. I like, there's a purpose for what they've turned into, so I'm guessing it's probably fertilizer because
That's what I would like, something of the
yeah.
sort to decompose the body, because you can't just have a body go float out to sea. And
No, but
like,
I'm sure that's how they did it originally, probably, till they came up with a plan.
there is a weird like mutant whale or something, right? Like,
Yeah, see, that has always, like, mystified me, like, what is that
but
thing?
that's the terrifying thing. Like, what's Megalodon times 10 that's out there in this world?
Right, but I'm
What is something that's just like those giant like squids that you always see taking over the pirate ship, like those paintings.
the
Like,
Kraken.
yeah, the Kraken's now like a real thing, I feel like.
Well, and I guess that makes more sense being that it's, 500 years into the future that possibly things have evolved. I mean, they're showing that even humanity has started to evolve because, Kevin Costner's got gills. He can
Which
breathe
they're all
water.
like, kill him! We can have him! It's like, if anything, he's a very helpful resource to you people. He can
Right?
stay underwater longer. He can fish longer than you can. Why are you mad at him? And how many mutants are there? Because he's the only one ever shown.
Yeah, he's the only. So, okay. You bring that up, so let's go back to the Ulysses cut. Um, at the end of the theatrical cut, he leaves dry land, and you make it seem like he's just not comfortable on dry land. It doesn't move right, and they still say that. He also explains to Helen, Krieger says there has to be more of me, and I'm going to go find them. That's the other reason why.
And now he does have the longitude and the latitudes and the places of where to go if he wants to come to land, I guess.
Yeah. So so everyone should watch the Ulysses cut. It adds so much more world building to this that I absolutely adored. I will tell you, the theatrical cut is more fast paced. It's a lot more action movie esque because that's what studio wanted to do. And I still love watching that version. And if I just want to watch something super action, I'm going to watch theatrical. But if I really want to dig into the history and things that were of question when I watched this movie, going, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they say that? He gets a name at the end of the Ulysses cut.
Is it
Helen,
Ulysses?
yes, Helen
I
names
nailed
him.
it.
Yeah. She tells him an abbreviated story about Ulysses. And it was how, the sea gods cursed him and he was stuck out to sea for 10 years. And then he came back home to his family, which is her way of going, I know you got to go out to sea. I know what you're doing, but you need to come back home to, his family. Also, what they cut out of the theatrical cut is Helen got with the fish man like 2 or 3 times during the movie. So more than likely there's another fish dude growing in her belly.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so which makes the more sense of come back to your family type thing. So there was a lot more to the Ulysses cut. The other thing, and you brought it up there a second ago, and we'll talk about it, is there's more Dennis Hopper in this. And now in the Ulysses cut, we know why they call him the deacon, because he preaches to his people. He literally is on the atoll and goes into a sermon when he finds out about the mariner, Kevin Costner, being a gill man. And he's like, it's an abomination. It's not of God. And we have to eradicate it off this planet. We have to destroy him. Oh, yes. And everyone has to like stop and listen to the deacon when he's preaching.
That's so interesting. Like, I would not expect that from that character at all. It was just a guy that was willing to kill to get the land, is what I always just thought.
But I always wondered why he was called the deacon. Like, why not, King of the Ocean or Neptune, or
Does deacon mean something I don't know?
Deacon's a church type thing.
Oh, is it?
One of the heads of a church
Is a deacon?
Yeah, is a deacon.
Oh, okay. I had no idea.
You'll have like your preachers.
You could have told me deacon was just a name. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Some people name their kid Deacon. Some people name their kid like Pilot. It's whatever.
There are people named Deacon, but that is what it is. So there's a whole lot more to Dennis Hopper's character in this that I feel like makes a lot more sense. I'm still confused as to how he knows what highways are and all this, when they're like, we're gonna pave it.
You would know about, you're above the land. Like,
my only thought was he's on the Exxon Valdez. That's the joke in the movie. That's his ship, is the Exxon. And when he's talking to the picture of the captain, that was the captain of the Valdez. My guess is there's like a log or something there that he has read.
Log.
Captain's log, not that log.
My men are now using oars to steer the ship. I fear we don't have much longer.
Exactly. Yeah, I would
The Megalodon times 10 is not far behind.
I would have loved like a little like log of, Dennis Hopper writing, what's going on and stuff. I was like, and I love all that, man. The smokers are some of my favorite things. There is a smoke. Did you recognize one of the smokers?
I did not. I tried to play Where's Waldo of where he was at, and I couldn't find him.
So in the Ulysses cut, we get a lot more of this particular smoker, and it's Jack Black. Jack Black is the airplane pilot in the movie.
Really?
So when they find when Enola waves at the plane and he smacks her upside the head, what are you thinking? And the plane comes around, that's Jack Black. Well, it's very hard to tell it's him until you see a cut scene that they're back on the Exxon Valdez and he is having a meeting with the deacon. Like, yeah, we found him. And his buddy in the plane died because he got harpooned through the gut. He's crying that his buddy died. And it's like, every time the camera pans out to Dennis Hopper talking, Jack Black's still in the back crying about his buddy.
Was his buddy Rage Cage? Like, it was Kyle, it was the other pilot?
That would have been awesome.
Also, like, I'm surprised the studio hasn't like, oh, Jack Black's a huge star now, back in like 2008. And like, they like put his face somewhere on the cover as well. Like,
they'd have
has Jack Black.
they'd have to do the same thing with Demolition Man because he's in the background of Demolition Man.
That's what
We
I
have
want. Those all the studios they're like release the Jackal, Mars Attacks. Like we just add the Jack Black somewhere onto the cover. He's going rickety-doo or something like that on the picture.
we'll do like they did for the when they were trying to push the Deadpool movie when they released a ton of movies with Deadpool sleeve. Like I have Terminator 2 and Speed and a bunch of other, like it's just, and it's nothing to do with Deadpool. They just made a sleeve of his face.
Fox losing their damn mind in the
But
final days.
Now I want Jack Black covers on
Yeah.
all of his movies. Give me back the Jackal, and it's Richard Gere, Bruce Willis, and Jack Black. Down
Yeah, and he's holding the pack of cigarettes.
See, that's what I want. But
Now,
no, there was. Yeah, go ahead.
did you know who Enola grew up to be?
No, I didn't actually look her up.
She's Deb from Napoleon Dynamite.
What?
Yeah.
The side ponytail
The
chick?
side ponytail girl is from Waterworld.
Oh my gosh. You know
Blew
what?
my mind. I don't recognize her from anything else.
I know.
Deb. Yep.
I never knew that. I can't watch that movie now without. You know what Enola is backwards?
No.
Alone.
Oh.
Her name is Alone backwards. I was like,
we're also talking
nice
to the
one.
guy that when he watched Troll 2 and when they went, Nilbog is goblin backwards, and I went, wait, it is. So I don't really pick up on these kind of things, is what I'm saying.
It's fine.
Nilbog is goblin backwards. They were in the town of Nilbog. It was right there the whole time.
The entire time.
Waterworld backwards is
What?
which doesn't really mean anything.
No, it doesn't. No, it's dude, to go back a little bit, I love this movie, man. It's something about the effects, like I was talking about, the stunt team.
Siege on the trading post, and they are just laying a waste to it with that anti-aircraft gun.
My favorite scene in the movie.
Size of the holes that are getting blown into the walls. It's like, you guys are really just trying to kill whoever, which like you should all stop, collaborate, and listen and like work together, you know? Like you're in a world full of water and yet you're trying to kill one another.
It doesn't matter. They want what they have. My favorite scene in this movie since I was a kid is that anti-aircraft gun going nuts. And Kevin Costner harpoons it and pulls it around.
Yes.
And Dennis Hopper's like, what's that cousin's name? And they're like, I think it's Chuck. Chuck. And they're all screaming his name. He goes, maybe he doesn't go by Chuck. Charles.
Which I also love how far away they are from one another. And you have this loud ass gun that like, that man's never going to hear you, but they're still trying. It reminded me of the end of Shazam where you had like the big guy fighting Shazam and Shazam's like, I can't hear what you're saying. Like in your big, like evil monologue. He's like, I don't know what's being talked about right now.
But that was the thing. Like they're yelling, but yet they've been using flags to communicate with everyone, which made sense. You can't
there's not
hear.
a Charles flag. There is now.
What's the sign for Charles? I don't know. But yes, my name is Charles. I don't go by Chuck. There's like very few people that are allowed to call me that. And I've seen that scene forever. And it came on, Jackie's sitting there watching it with me. And I'm like, it's my favorite part. And she's like, okay, it's a big. Oh, now I understand. It's not just the big gun. They say your name. They said my name in the movie.
I'm now one of them. I'm a smoker now.
I would be a smoker.
Get me a boat, Jackie. We're Waterworld people now.
Speaking of Jackie, so we started watching this the other night, and I forgot to tell her that I'm watching a different cut. And it gets like 2 hours into the movie, and she's like, how long is this movie? I don't remember it being this long. I was like, oh, I forgot to tell you, we're watching the Ulysses cut. It's over 3 hours long. And she's like, we're gonna have to finish this later. It was like 11:30, almost midnight.
You should just turn to him and be like, "We are Waterworld now, Jackie."
I tried, but I was tired too. So I was like, you know what? I will finish this later. But I was but I was so immersed into this movie, man. And it's extended scenes. Some stuff doesn't add anything, but it's just a little bit longer. You know how we've always talked about some movies. It's like, man, if they'd added a little bit of this, or maybe if they had cut a little bit of that. This is one of those rare times where you have both the best of both worlds. I can't talk this morning. That okay, I feel like I want a little bit longer, more in-depth cut of a movie. I can watch Ulysses cut.
That's how I felt about The Town. That director's cut's like 30 minutes longer, and like The Town's already a fantastic movie. And then that director's cut, I'm like, I don't really know what all you added, but there's enough here that's like, it's just still really good.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the only version I'll watch now. Like when I see it streaming, I'm like, oh, you're not streaming the director's cut. Like, I'm glad I bought the Blu-ray back when it came out years ago, because like it's just the definite version.
Yeah. That the only downside to the Ulysses cut is the pacing slows down. It still works because now I'm invested in this world and I want to know more about what's happening.
And that's the thing about the theatrical cut. When I was watching it, I was like, I kind of want more. Like, this is cool. That's like we're hitting beat for beat. Like after that siege, we get, you know, the monster. Then we get Kim Coates in a very early role as the Drifter, which was super creepy. Didn't like him whatsoever. But
I
like,
love that.
Them adding like, oh, this is paper. When's the last time you seen paper with words
Paper,
on it?
paper.
Yeah.
It's paper, resin. It's no resin.
Yeah, he was Gollum before Gollum. It was really strange.
I love that whole segment on there, man. But there's a whole lot more of how unlikable the Mariner is at the beginning of the movie.
I mean, he is completely unlikable when he's like, nah, we're just gonna kill the girl.
And
like forcing the hair. There was a lot of that stuff of like the 90s where I'm like, what else did we? Oh, Lockout had like the same exact scene where I was like, this is kind of gross. Not a fan of this. Like,
yeah, but you know what? There was a reason he cut their hair though. That was to repair ropes and stuff. It's not like he just cut their hair to be mean.
Yeah.
He cut their hair because it's like, you have something I need right now.
It was just the forcefulness. I'm like, what different times we used to have.
Well, now let's put it in context though. This man's been out to sea, let's just say, his entire life.
I mean, he's a loner.
He has very little interaction with other people. One good thing that I feel like it sucks. Let me say this. It sucks it was happening, but it helped the movie. He's going through a divorce, which made his interactions with Helen all that more like, I don't care. I don't want to deal with you. He's a lot more gruff and surly about things, you know, just that kind of emotion that he was putting into it. Just like, whatever, you know, just you are a nuisance to me right now. And I'm stuck with you almost. And it worked. I believe him in this movie that he's just like, I can take you or leave you right now. I kind of, you did technically save me, but I really would just like to throw you off my boat and go back to my normal life, you know, kind of situation.
Fishing and collecting comic books and crowns.
You know, and that, it doesn't fix it in the Ulysses cut. And I think it makes it worse is he makes a comment, and I can't remember if this is in, I don't think it's in the director's cut, or not the director's cut, the theatrical cut. He's at Helen's shop when he's on the atoll. It seems like he's bought a little bit of water and the shelves and the tomato plant. Right. In the Ulysses cut, he buys jugs of water. There's different variations of water. There's pure hydro, and then there's something else that's not pure, but they can
like
drink
a filter of the seawater. Because I'd imagine this far in, we have found a way to take a little bit of the salt out of the ocean to drink that water.
They mention in the Ulysses cut that they had desalinators and they don't work anymore, and they're not repairable because the Navy uses desalinators. That's how they get fresh water on submarines and stuff like that. So they go about that. But anyway, he makes a comment to her about, do you have a magazine? And she goes, well, if I had a magazine, I wouldn't be working here. I'd be retired. And I'm like, he has magazines on his boat.
He's retired. That's why he's just always on his boat, like any
Yeah.
retired person is, and just sailing the seas.
So what? And then Kim Coates' character makes a big deal about paper. What is it? What did you see? Paper. And I'm like, Kevin
He's
Costner
retired as well.
has a shit ton of paper. He's got National Geographic books, not pages, books. And it was just kind of odd to me that they would go that far, but yet they had, and then they couldn't solve anything till they got Kim Coates' paper because it was written in a foreign language. It just so happened to be the same language that was on the 3 pages that Kim Coates' jar. I've got a jar of paper. I've got a jar of paper.
Yeah, because he's celebrating his retirement fund. He's like, now if only I had an American quarter, you would all bow down to me.
And Kevin Costner comes out and he has what? Dirt. I got a jar of dirt. See, Pirates of the Caribbean owes everything to Waterworld.
Only the first Pirates movie, because like I barely got through the second one. I literally turned off the third one. I've never gone back to any of the others.
I've watched them all. They're entertaining.
That third one was so long, so slow, and I didn't know what was going on. They were tipping the boat upside down. I was like, are they dead? Are they in purgatory? Like, why can't this just be a movie about pirates?
They're pirates in the movie.
There are, but they're just not doing pirate things. They're trying to flip a boat, and there's a kraken. I don't know, man. That first movie was so good. And by the time I got to the third one, I went, I don't know what's happening.
There's pirates in Waterworld, man. Even Dennis Hopper only has one eye as it goes. He's wearing a patch the whole time.
He's got a pretty cool patch.
I love his eye patch.
Now, speaking of Dennis Hopper, the next time he shows up is at another trade post, like a smaller one.
Next
where
time.
all the dead bodies are, and they got like the ropes rigged on their hands to wave. I didn't know what that was like. It's a really tiny, like maybe 2-story structure.
Yeah, it was not so atolls are trading centers. That's what they're called. Yeah, communities. And like the one we see is like one of the last they figure. Because they're even talking about communicating. So I'm like, you guys had radios, I'm guessing. You guys had ways of communicating with each other. I doubt you're throwing notes in.
There's one can and there's a string and it goes underneath the ocean water into another can. Charlie, you still awake?
Yeah, Nate, it's 3:00 in the morning. Stop it.
I just want to talk to you real quick. Hi.
I had a bad dream. Yeah, I didn't understand that little post thing because that's also where, like they speak a different language, Portuguese that Kevin Costner's speaking. And I'm literally going like, how are there like 20 people living on what essentially looks like a buoy out in the middle of the ocean? But yeah.
Dennis Hopper's people, I guess they snuck up on him. I don't know. Like, that's one of those things. Like, there's that weird like device they have where all the jet skis are underneath water.
Yeah, they're way down, which I love.
Breathe, like that way do the sneak attack.
Yeah, I love that. Because then we see that Kevin Costner has a down periscope. It's down periscope and he can see underwater. And I was like, I like that. My guess is when smokers show up, most places probably just go, we give up.
Hell.
And they needed marionettes, so they killed them all and tied them all to ropes, so it looks like they're waving.
Yeah, very friendly, casual waving, as everyone does on a buoy out in the middle of nowhere.
All I could picture was Tom Hardy in Fury Road, where he goes, "That's bait."
Bait.
That's bait.
Now, this does lead to we finally get to see what's underneath the water. I don't know what city that was supposed to be.
I don't think it was supposed to be like
it was supposed to be something that you were, but I thought it was cool that we got to see what would have had to have been a terrifying experience of like that one boat is crashed through like a total building, like not like a tiny boat, like a big ass ship.
Oh, that was like a cargo ship or something. You know, just one of those.
Just like knowing like how bad it had to have gotten towards the end of civilization.
My guess is that was probably like the first logical thing to do once land started getting took over was
get on boats.
Cities would be moved onto boats.
But the boats wouldn't be able to see, like, oh shit, was essentially an iceberg, but a building below us.
It's a skyscraper, and you run into a skyscraper. There was, and they dig into that in the Ulysses cut. Like Kevin Costner has a CD player, like a Walkman, and he's listening to like jazz music for a scene, and I'm like, this is insane, because he just goes down and he collects these things, and he finds a new CD.
Well, it's kind of like we have Book of Eli then, where he had the I don't remember what it was called. The iPod? The iPod?
It was that, or it was a knockoff because they didn't want to pay Apple. But they had an MP3 player. Let's call it that.
Yeah. I forgot what the Apple device was called because no one uses them anymore, and I legit don't remember the name of what.
I think it's an iPod. I think it's an iPod is what you're talking about. But yeah, so there's all this other stuff that explains where he's gotten these trinkets and these things, these baubles that they make a big deal in the theatrical cut steel, that when he goes down by himself and he comes back up with the thing that's floating in the water, and he goes to get it instead of the smokers getting it. They dig more into that. Like, that's just all the stuff he's collecting.
They do this scene that way she can finally see where land is, because he's like, I'll show you. I'll freaking show you. Right after they just got chased down by Dennis Hopper. And you're on water, so it's not like you could have gotten that far. And then they decide, let's leave the kid up by themselves, and we'll go explore the ocean floor.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Dennis Hopper's going to find him, because it's not like they got that far away from him.
Yeah, the logistics of distance are really hard to understand in this
But what cracked me up the most is obviously they get caught when they come back up, and Dennis Hopper's like, where's the girl at? She's got the map. Where's the girl at? And I'm like,
yeah,
it's not like she's that far. She's on the boat. The boat that isn't that big. All you got to do is just take 5 minutes, and you're gonna be like, found her.
Yeah, but he finds her in 30 seconds by acting like he shoots him. I was like, that's even smarter. I like that. I mean, it's kid logic, but I say here real quick, we're about to get into the finale of this movie, and we haven't played a commercial yet. So I think it's time to drop our patent pending commercial breaks. I've added a fun little segment in the center once again.
Is it a toy commercial for Waterworld toys?
Don't get me on another tirade about movies that didn't get toys. All right. But this
Did Waterworld not get toys? Well, all right.
Nope.
During commercial break, I'm going to look up Waterworld toys.
The Transformers will return after these messages.
Just how drunk are we gonna get?
Welcome to Good Beer, Bad Movie Night, where each month we drink finely crafted brews while watching terrible films in order to see just how drunk you have to get to enjoy them. So tune in and join Troy.
Killboy Kreitz.
Oh, that was pretty good.
Thank you.
Dave.
I have the weirdest boner.
And Pete. IPAs are ales, meaning they are bottom fermented. Excuse me, they are top fermented. I that up. Try that again. As we drag Kathleen,
Hear me.
kicking and screaming through an alcohol-fueled podcast dedicated to movies of questionable quality and the frosty adult beverages that help make them tolerable. Good Beer, Bad Movie Night. Clearly, it's the beer's fault.
In all history, there's never been another hero like him. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
I fight for justice against the evil Sheriff of Nottingham.
Robin, with a fateful Azim, defends Sherwood Forest.
Ha! I found your hideout! Surrender!
You put the Sherwood Forest playset together.
Little John, greet our visitor. I, Robin.
Figures and playsets sold separately.
Ha! Didn't get me. Go on, Sheriff. We got you right where we want you.
There's only one Prince of Thieves, Robin Hood.
Do you like horror movies?
Do you like hanging out with your buddy?
Do you like cracking jokes and having a good time?
Do you just like fun?
Well, consider checking out Spoils of Horror. We are an hour-long podcast that comes out every single week.
We're not doing reviews. We're just going to hang out, talk about the movies we love with each other, and hopefully the ones you love too.
Covering everything from the popular, the lost, the forgotten, and the bizarre.
If you're looking for a good podcast and a good time, you're going to want to check us out.
We're on all major podcasting platforms, and you can find us on Instagram and Twitter.
Check it out. We'll see you there.
We now return to the Transformers.
Now I'm mad that I didn't get Waterworld toys, Nate.
There are Waterworld toys. They're real. I'm looking at them right now. They look terrible.
Are they legit, or did someone?
No,
make
these
them?
are legit. These were made by Kenner.
Really?
Yeah. These look bad. But now, how out of every toy con I've gone to, of every flea market I have ventured to and looked at toys in every venture known to man, have I never came across these? They even have his ship.
Okay, I'm looking at them. Yeah, the Tremarin. Okay, yeah, that's the word. That's what it's called. I've never seen these.
Nah, not at all.
Dude, you can get a smoker on a jet ski. What?
I feel like I'm going to try to find a Waterworld toy now. Like that's going to be the next goal for the next toy convention I go to.
Damn, the boat's not small either.
No, it looks like a legit hey, we want you to play near a body of water, kid, and possibly drown. That way you can really play Waterworld.
There's a board game.
There was a Waterworld board game?
There's a board game, dude.
Now, is it a pool game?
No, it's I can't. It looks kind of like there's a globe and all these longitude, latitude.
It looks like a battleship.
It kind of does, but it's
Milton
one
Bradley.
board.
Yeah, you're right, because it doesn't have
there's no divider
the walls,
screen.
yeah, the separator.
Yeah. Holy crap, dude. I had no idea. I'm sitting here getting mad I never got these, but I'm probably happy.
They just were not at our toy stores.
That's insane. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up. I mean, I know a lot of movies got toy releases that a lot of people are like, no, they didn't. It's like, yeah, they did.
I mean, we just talked about the other day with Dragonheart.
Yeah, or not Dragonheart, but Reign of Fire. Dragonheart got toy releases, but Reign of Fire didn't. But damn, I'm going to have to look now. I played the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves toy, Kevin Costner, and we talked about that they were also done by Kenner. They were repurposed Star Wars toys for the most part.
I remember those. I remember liking that movie. I haven't seen it in forever, but I know the joke is that he loses his accent 1/3 of the way into the movie.
There's almost no accent in that movie. It's another one I've got, and we haven't said it yet, but this is also another PG-13 movie we're covering. But that's how good some of these PG-13 movies were back in the day. You got your Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Waterworld, Reign of Fire. You could pull it off and still be a badass action flick.
No, especially this final act where he is getting ready for war after they kidnap the girl. And
God,
him loading up the guns, the way he looks, his outfit, everything kind of comes together of this is sweet.
This is badass.
This is really badass.
All while we get her talking about him.
Which is also strange because I'm he doesn't like you. There's not really been much of development between these two characters.
Well, he taught her.
Figured was in the Ulysses cut.
There's a bit more, but not a lot. You get the whole thing where he teaches her how to swim. That he does save them from time to time, and they do kind of create a bond. When he gives the crayon.
I just never felt like a bond was fully crafted when she's telling the story to our main bad guy, who looks like he's the lead singer of every 80s metal band, hair metal band, because he's got this wicked mullet, and he's definitely from Australia. You cannot convince me otherwise.
It's fine. I don't
recognize him in anything. I don't know who he is.
I love that guy. But here's the one thing they do dig into in the Ulysses cut is after she's kidnapped and Gregor saves them off of the burnt ship, they go back to the little cluster of people doing we made the wagon wheel of boats. He leaves and he's like, I'm done. And she's like, will you not go save her? And he's like, nah. He literally bails, and then he has like this change of heart. I forget if he actually runs into another smoker. Oh, he runs into the smokers, which is how he gets the jet boat. And he goes back and he goes, I'm gonna go save her now. So there's like this little thing where it's like, I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
gonna, now I'm gonna. And then we get her.
I feel like they should have left that in just to have that little bit more action piece
I
in
I
there.
think they should have, but there's a lot of stuff they probably should have. This movie was being written as they filmed, like rewrite
Which is
after
never
rewrite
a good
after
sign.
rewrite. No, it never is. And but this is the action movie part of Waterworld coming up when he gets on that tanker. He's in the clothes, he has the goggles on, he has a shotgun.
He's going around like Leon, being all sneaky and like taking people out.
Yeah, and then it's that's where we get like Dennis Hopper does this big speech. Everyone grabs the boat oars. Nate doesn't believe, and
I'm just saying, prove it to me.
and what I feel is one of the most badass points is just Kevin Costner walking across the deck of the boat towards them, and they're like, "Who's this guy? Why aren't you rowing? Why aren't you doing this?"
Which shows like how nameless everyone is. I thought that was cool because it was like they didn't recognize him because they're really high up. So once again, it's a Charles and Chuck moment of like, wait, who is that? As they're squinting kind of look and not realizing that's the guy that they have been chasing the whole time who doesn't have a name,
Also, it's like, why didn't Kevin Costner just walk onto the boat looking like that? I don't think anyone knows who anyone is.
He really didn't need to like drive a jet ski into a man's chest.
I love that whole
It was
scene.
really sweet. I'm fairly certain that stuntman did die, actually. But yeah, he could have like casually just like got onto the deck and everyone be like, okay, he looks like one of us. We all look like we're pirates.
Yeah.
No one's going to question, wait, who are you, Pirate 27B?
Yeah, they all have numbers.
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent of like the No Escape with Ray Liotta, the way they're all kind of dressed, and it's like no one kind of like stands out from anyone else. It's just, let's paint your face, let's put piercings in this part. And I kept screaming it every time it would come on screen. They had cases of what's supposed to be Spam, but it's called Smeat. And they were throwing Smeat out at people, and there's guys just digging it out of cans, eating it. And I just kept going, it's Schmeat. Jackie's just like, oh my God. I love Spam. I would eat Schmeat. I love Schmeat. But I'm just like, someone got creative with the name. Oh, that was the other Pirates of the Caribbean thing. When there's a scene where they're talking and there's a giant case of Bacardi rum behind them. And I was like, see, they have rum.
Well, if you're
they
on
are
the
pirates.
Sea, you get rum. That's just what happens when you're near the ocean. People really enjoy their rum.
The guy that we don't is nameless. The only thing I see that I know him from, he was in Batman Begins. He was Judge Faden from the earlier part of the movie. Yeah, no, you're looking at me like I have no idea who that is.
I haven't even watched Batman Begins in forever, and I love that movie.
His name is Gerard Murphy. I love him in this movie. He is. You expect there to be this big climactic battle between him and the Mariner, and there's really not.
No, there really isn't.
He drives the car. I've always wanted to drive this monster, and crashes it immediately.
Which I was thinking, I was like, man, you guys are lucky you even got that thing to start.
Well, did you hear him? He goes, let's drive. Hey, it's running better. I love that whole, it's got the big cattle pusher on the front of it. That's how they sweep. They just clean the ship and they run the car across it. The poor old dude that lives in the tanker belly in a dinghy, and he's so happy when he dies.
Yeah. Does he say like finally or something like that?
Finally, or thank God or something. I can't remember what it is.
Which I don't know why they're holding on to, like, he was like the keeper of oil.
Yeah, he's letting them know how much of the black stuff is left. He had a measuring stick, and they're down to like 4 feet.
Which I'm guessing that's what they were using for their bombs or stuff like that.
That's their fuel. That was
Okay.
their. So what they add in the Ulysses cut, which makes a little bit more sense, is the Mariner, Kevin Costner, watches them pump the fluid out and put it into the plane. So he's like, I know where they're getting their fuel, and it's just running off basically, refined oil. And that's why he knows to hold the flare over that hole. There's a little hose coming out that he saw. And that's why he's like, I'm not bluffing. I don't think he realized the entire ship was going to explode.
You don't realize that he was like, I'm going to get a 2,000 plus body count real quick.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Poor souls that were, some of these guys could have been innocent, but I guess because of the line of work that they were in, you are a casualty of who your boss is and the product that you are, delivering.
You're guilty by association.
Yes, you are guilty by association. I don't know. Like, there was a lot of people that died really quickly. Like, a lot.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Hold on. We have a whole segment for that part.
I couldn't believe how in the blink of an eye, they're like, you wouldn't do it, you crazy son of a bitch. He's like, watch me. I got no regard for all these people because all it'll do is make my life much easier to kill the last 4 of you.
But like I said, he doesn't know that. But it's also like, do you realize how much danger you're putting Enola into? I'm going to blow the ship up.
Maybe he didn't realize how flammable
I don't think he did.
Fuel is. It's just like, oh shit, what I do? I didn't know.
Not only does he blow the ship up and it explodes, he jumps back down into the hull where the fire is.
Oh boy.
Works his way back up to where the Deacon is. The Deacon gets down to the deck, which is hilarious. They just back and forth. We get the awesome zip line, scene that he actually did. They're setting off the explosions.
Even with the zipline scene and the explosions, like you could tell, like this is some really cool old school movie making. They're on a set. They are doing stunt works. They're doing the practical stuff live. Like
it was
once
legit.
Again, how no one died is beyond me.
The explosions are happening. They had to be perfectly timed because that was Kevin Costner the whole time. So the explosions happening behind him were not added later.
1, 2, blow up now. Now.
You've got the guy from Tropic Thunder going, Mother Nature's about to piss her pantsuit.
But even like his trap, because like Dennis Hopper gets on the plane with the girl and like they're wanting to fly away, which I don't even realize if he knows how far he would actually get.
It doesn't matter. It's a seaplane. He'd been fine.
But Costner's plan of how to stop the plane, I'm like, oh my God, you're going to kill both of them.
Right. No regard for Enola. He crashes that thing.
But I'm going to crash a plane.
Literally, like it. But it also shows like he doesn't know how this shit works. He's like, I'm going to throw an anchor on it and see if I can pull it down.
Heavy thing, make thing go stop.
And that was the other thing. He tries to blow up the ship with Enola on it. He crashes the plane with Enola. Everything you're not supposed to do in an action movie, he does it. He jumps out, up onto, they climb onto the blimp. Let's call it a blimp, whatever. Enola falls out of the damn thing. Like 80 feet in the air.
She would have been hitting concrete, basically.
Mythbusters did prove that. Like, if nothing's disrupting the water tension, that's going to hit like dirt. But nope, she falls, and then he bungee jumps down to save her.
Without tying the bungee first, it just expects everyone out there to, tie this. And I'm just like, I would panic. And I would be that Fifth Element moment again with the match. Like, oh God, I can't, it burns, I can't hold on to it, it's really hot. And then it's just like, oh, well, can we lower the hot air balloon? Is that a thing?
How he handed it to Helen, not the other dude. And she's like staring at it. I immediately go, if I did that to Jackie, the first word out of her mouth would have been, what'd he say?
Yeah, that's exactly what I would have done. Like, wait, what's he doing? Does he want me to like hold on to it? Like, maybe that's what I would do. I would like tie it around my arm. Like, all right, I'll just I'll be
hold
his
it.
anchor, and then like I go over the hot air balloon.
He goes, whoop, gone. It's all I could picture in my mind was just like that was the worst laid plan. Tie this, and he jumps. It's just insane.
And even then, like if I tied it, I feel like I would tie it like a shoe, so it would come undone like super quick.
Right, it's the worst.
Like,
Worst
I
knot
forgot how to
ever.
knot.
He just loops it. That's
Come
it.
on, Eagle Scout.
I twist it.
Yeah, I just kind of like rub it around and like pray for the best.
But this does give us the classic action movie trope. Dennis Hopper didn't die in the plane crash because obviously Enola didn't either. Climbs up the rope. Helen hits him in the head with something. Enola kicks him. He falls. Okay, that didn't kill him. Now he gets on a jet ski. And apparently the other guys on the jet skis know what the hand motion, this V movement means, which means converge on the kid. We're going to kidnap her and then we're going to get dry land. Instead, they just like, oh, we're going to go that way at full speed. They have no idea what the plan is at that point. And Kevin Costner yanking her yoink right up into the air and they all crash. Boom, fire explosion. Dennis Hopper dies. It works. I love the end of this movie. I love it. And the Exxon Valdez is sinking because it's going down front and you get the name
Yeah, you
of
finally
the boat.
get the branding, which is exactly what every oil company wants.
I bet Exxon had to love this movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, cool. There's our boat with all the oil sinking into it. Good thing we're not BP, I guess. Or is ExxonMobil part of BP? I don't know. I hate all those bastards.
I think it was the Valdez that caused that big oil leak, though, from the ship. You know, the Exxon Valdez was a thing. You okay? Are you fighting something? Did a smoker get in your office?
Maybe. And a
Nate's
poster
like,
falling down. I might need more tape. I don't know. Just
Nate's
came
being
at me.
Attacked by his posters. I told you not to get that stupid clown picture. It's a cursed image, Nate. All right, well, that's Waterworld. I love Waterworld.
I did not think we were going to be able to do this in like time frame, because this is like our first really long movie we've covered.
Yeah, but we don't have to make our episodes as long as the movie that we do get some comments about.
Wait
Your
until
episode
everyone
was
gets
longer to the movie.
Ulysses cut of this episode.
We
We're
should
going to add a lot more character development to both of our story arcs.
We just add more character development to us. I think
Yeah,
everyone
that's
wants
it.
that to happen.
Everyone's really hoping eventually I'm going to grow up.
Oh, all right, man. Well, we've teased it. Let's get into the body count of
so excited.
Waterworld.
Yeah.
Leave anything for us?
Just bodies. Body count. Body count. Body count. Body count.
So, like normal, I found a video that went through and did like the carnage count, and
At the end they go.
actually, it gets up to the point where Kevin Costner is getting ready to get on the boat, and we're at like 80 already. There's already 80 people that's died to that point. Yeah. Well, the atoll almost gets completely wiped out. You have a ton of smokers that die. You have the other little the buoy out to sea that's just floating. All those people are dead.
That's true. Like I'm like, there's like three main action set pieces throughout this whole movie. You know, that atoll scene, the middle scene of the chase, and then capturing the girl, and then the final act. And like,
yeah,
God, they're so good.
They are. And then once he drops the flare into the tanker, the number jumps from like, I want to say like 86 to 360 immediately. And the final tally for the movie is 366 people die in Waterworld.
So insane. And like, it also is impressive too, like when Dennis Hopper is given that final speech and you're seeing how many extras they hired on a movie that was already like ballooning over budget, and just like the dedication of like, we want to like show how this guy has a following and show like how lethal these smokers are, and just like to fill up that tanker with that many people.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, like, people don't realize like what gets added to budgets was just the guest services and stuff
I was
like
gonna say
that, the
catering.
food.
All the catering.
The catering people realized, "Oh, you're in Hawaii and we're the only ones here." They were charged an insane amount of money because who else you
Oh,
gonna call?
it makes sense because like when I did like my little vacation to the Virgin Islands, like you don't even get a gallon of milk. You get like a quart of milk for like $8
Yeah. Yeah.
because everything's
They
being imported in. So I imagine it's the same thing with Hawaii of like, oh
Haw
yeah.
Hawaii made millions off of this movie. That's it went right into the economy, dude. Waterworld's the best thing
Honestly,
that's happened to Hawaii in a long
good
time.
for Hawaii. I really don't care about studio executives, so the more money they lose, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, I'm sure there's some good ones and there's some bad ones, but I mean, it's not like Highlander 2 where they lost all their money to cocaine and the Argentina government. So
Hey man, I just tricked a bunch of suckers into making a movie to us that doesn't need a sequel, and we're gonna be about aliens on a different planet, and we're gonna bring back the main character that died from his head being cut off. Yeah, this was honestly just an excuse to have a tax write off with cocaine.
that's it, man. All right, well, that's our body count, which leads us into our kill of the week.
Have you ever killed anyone?
Yeah, but they were all bad.
All right, Nate, what's your favorite kill of the movie?
It's the harpoon gun to the pilot. When she shoots that guy, and like, I don't know, like you don't often see a harpoon kill, especially to that of a guy flying a plane, and then the repercussions of oh shit, now what?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
unexpected.
it's stuck to the boat now, and
Yeah.
it's circling it like an AT-AT with a snow speeder attached. And a ton of chaos all happens after that. You know, that was probably one of the more graphic kills in the movie, and I like that one a lot. But I think I'm gonna have to say, damn, I just don't know. Like, there's nothing like no one gets like decapitated in this movie. No one really just gets,
Well, no, because I mean, it
slaughtered.
makes sense. Like, if they would have released this as rated R, they would have made even less money, like half of what
Yeah,
they did make, because a
probably.
$175 million R-rated movie does not happen.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go one just based off ethics, and I'm gonna say Kim Coates' death when they fight down into the hull of the ship
I was gonna
because
say that would have been my honorable mention
yeah,
because, like, you
he
don't
has a
see
change
it.
of heart,
Yeah.
and it's like, nope, this is a bad deal, and I'm gonna go. At first it wasn't like he was gonna go kill him. It's like deal's off, and Kim Coates escalates it, and you hear the fight, but then when Kim Coates comes up out of the hall and you see him from the front, then the camera turns to the back and he has that huge slice down his back, from the knife, and I'm like, yeah, I like that death. That death deserved to happen.
Can we talk about one other thing too before we move on to the next segment?
I don't know. That makes me nervous. Go
Dennis
ahead.
Hopper shoots Kevin Costner in the back, and he just kind of like is unfazed by it.
So it looks like they hit him more in the side, like in the meat, because even Dennis Hopper goes, "I winged him."
Yeah, he
So
says he wings him, but like a wing to me would be like the back shoulder. This was like towards the gut, like kidney area. It looked like to me. I'm like, you just killed him.
I think it's
a slow,
more
painful death, but like, and then the blood trail in the ocean.
Get the
is how they
trackers.
find it. But I meant to mention that of like
That's fine.
that's one of those wounds that you don't see happen often because it'd be like, I think you just gave him a fatality wound.
I think it. Well, like I said, I think it's more. It grazed his side. It hit fat, flesh, whatever, and it was just a flesh wound. And I do like that it's affecting him throughout the rest of the movie. He always kind of holds his sides at certain times. Just like I got hit. No, it's interesting, but there's a lot. 366 people die in a PG-13 movie. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And there's at least
impressive.
some notable kills. I mean, if you want gore, when Dennis Hopper's eye gets took out, is actually probably the goriest thing in the movie.
Yeah, it is.
And even gorier when they're trying to stitch it up and they put the fake eyeball in it. And the guy's using a paintbrush you paint a house with. And he's like, this looks great. It's like, does it? What do you tell me the truth? I think it looks like shit. And he looks in the mirror. It does look like shit. Love that.
Unhinged Dennis Hopper.
Unhinged. All right, man. Well, let's rate this bad boy. All right, Nate, you gotta go first. What are you rating Waterworld, Bubba?
I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. That's my Allianz score.
Okay, fair.
Yeah,
I can see that.
It was one of those I didn't expect it to be as high. I was kind of expecting like maybe this didn't age well. But like honestly, like those opening scenes and opening shots, and then like when we get to the atoll, it's like, holy shit. There's a lot here right out the gate going in favor of Waterworld. And then
they
siege
went
happens,
all out.
and it was just like,
yeah.
And a lot of it, like it probably would be an 8 if I saw the Ulysses cut.
Yeah.
I have like just minor stuff to complain about it. I mean, some of the stuff is just the product of its time, but for the most part, I really enjoy Waterworld. I think everyone should kind of give it a chance. Like, I feel like this is a movie, if it were to hit Netflix right now, it'd be one of those in the top 10 because people would be like, oh, yeah, I haven't seen that in a while. Like, let's see how it is. And then I would read an article from some random, like, website. It's like, in the top 10, Waterworld. It would be the headline would actually be, this bomb of a movie has found new life.
I hate
and
those
then I would click
articles.
on, well, what's the bomb movie that they're talking about? I'm like, oh, it's Waterworld. It's number 6 right now.
I hate when they do that crap.
It's clickbait, and I fall for it every time.
They fall for all the clickbait.
I do. Mandalorian season 2. He's walked off set. Like, no, he hasn't. Well, I might as well read it just in case.
maybe. I don't know. He wasn't even really on set half the time. It was a different guy under the mask. So yeah, you bring up a good point. I've now watched 2 versions of this movie that give me 2 different outlooks on this movie. I love Waterworld. It is one of my favorite movies since I was a kid. I watch it all the time. I could be like, oh, it's the greatest movie ever. It's really not the greatest movie ever, but it's not what you're led to believe from the critics and people that have poo-pooed it over the years.
It's one I wish I could go back in time and could remember being a kid to see it, because I do feel like kid me would have actually really enjoyed this. But this was one of those movies when I think mom and dad rented it. Like, mom was just like, why'd you rent this? It was a bomb. Like, this is gonna be stupid.
Yeah, see,
and like
Dad and I rented it.
Probably was like discouraging to me of like, oh, I'm just gonna go outside and play then or something.
Dad and I rented it, and this is the movie when we decided we don't care what critics say. It's this movie right here. When we watched it and we're like, why is this getting such bad reviews? That was the moment where we're like, yeah, critics are stupid. We know what we like, and this movie is amazing. I'm gonna give it a 9, and that's combining the theatrical and the Ulysses cut.
You're a man that loves his Waterworld.
I do. I guess normally I probably would have been in the 8s, but now that I have so much more added to it, and now I have 2 ways to watch the movie, I can go, do I want just a thrilling action movie? I'm going to watch theatrical. Or do I really want some in-depth, world building? I can watch Ulysses. And because I get 2 versions, I'm going to give it a 9. I thoroughly enjoy this movie. I don't care what people say about it. If you hate it, fine, whatever, man. I don't care. This movie
I would say give it another try, though. Like, yeah. I honestly would say to everyone, like, because you're probably going to click on this episode and go, why the hell did they pick Waterworld?
Honestly, dude, if they've listened to us at all, they know why we picked Waterworld.
I'm fairly certain we've mentioned Waterworld in an episode before.
We have, but also we're not just reaching into a hat and pulling names. We are picking movies that mean something to us for the most part. And Waterworld means a lot to me growing up. And it's now Kevin Costner's on our roster. We haven't done a Kevin Costner movie, so it fits. And when action does happen in this movie, yeah, there's a lot that this isn't fast paced action, but when they do give you action, they give it all to you, and
They
it's all
give you the big
practical.
Hollywood spectacle. Like that's the cool thing that I really liked about it.
This
Like,
movie got a ride at Universal. They got a stunt show.
did it
There is a
really?
Waterworld stunt show that they
I
have,
wonder
like
how long that was going on for.
the jet boats flying out of, sets and all this stuff. I mean, that for a movie that bombed, they were still like, damn, there's some really good shit in this movie.
And that's the thing that's crazy to me. Like, this is a movie that you just don't see get made anymore because of the price tag, it being an original IP, and then they didn't do a sequel. Obviously, you
No.
could have done a prequel. It's a lot like Reign of Fire, where it's like this was a one and done. We the toy line, I even just looked it up. There was a comic book, like a 4-issue comic book run, and that was it. But this is something that in today's standards, we would have been bombarded with all the marketing, all the toys and stuff first. And then we would have already had Netflix signing up for a prequel that has nothing to do with the zombies. And it's about the bank robbers before the zombies, Like, that's what would have happened. Like, we would have gotten
this property. I would never be surprised if all of a sudden we got Waterworld the series. I could almost see Netflix or Hulu or someone trying to capitalize. Like you said, if it ever got put in the top rankings and it got,
it got people's attention again, went, oh, maybe we can make money off this. Like,
yeah, see, this one
possible.
I gotta say doesn't quite hit what I would call like cult status, but it has its fan base. It has its fan base so much that a fan fixed the movie and it got a legit release.
Where the studio went, yeah, okay, well, wow,
Yeah,
that's like, that to me is just so mind-blowing.
That says a lot right there. And, that's because of the strength this movie has that, people just don't want to give it credit for. So, all right, man. Well, while we just praise this movie from one end to the other, we unfortunately have to do the part I hate now, and that is trash opinions.
I'm the trash man. I come out, I throw trash all over the ring, and then I start eating garbage. And then I pick up the trash can and I bash the guy on the head.
Oh, that's going to be a disaster.
Break my heart, Nate.
Well, this comes from Cardinal Dude 2003, who reviewed this in 2003.
Well, that works.
1 out of 10, bass as it gets. Okay, there are bad movies that know they are bad and end up pretty decent. Then there's Waterworld. This movie is bad because it tries to be good, but fails in all account. First, the plot. If you have seen Road Warrior, you saw this movie. The same plot. The only difference was Road Warrior was new and fresh at the time of its release, and much better. Second, the acting. Costner acts like he is made of wood. Hopper is so over the top, it is annoying. The rest of the cast is, well, either the stereotypical half-crazy evil thug or I'm innocent, helpless target of the thugs. Third, the set and stage. It is terrible. How much rusted metal and tattered clothes do we have to look at? Slash. Fourth, the plot and story. Where do they get all the jet skis? How do they keep them running? Where do they get the fresh water? Etc. Now, I like an action movie as well as anyone. The Road Warrior, for example. But this movie tries to take itself seriously, and it's nothing more than a formalistic story with bad acting. Sink the movie and watch Road Warrior instead. To that, I say, why not both?
Yeah, watch them all. There's nothing wrong with having multiples.
Yeah, I never understood why some people have to do that. It's like, you're allowed to like both.
He did bring up a point that I forgot that I wanted to mention. It does rain in Waterworld. There's a scene in the Ulysses cut
really
where they're eating the fish that he catches.
Yeah.
And he gives her water and he goes, go ahead, drink it. Drink as much as you want. It's going to rain tonight. And I'm like, well, of course it rains. Why wouldn't it rain? That's how they're collecting water. Because where they do have like pure hydro, Now, probably they can't collect a lot of it. I mean, you would have to have a pretty, who knows how long it actually rains, but that would be a natural filtration of ocean water, rainwater.
Now, this does bring up also another point that I forgot to bring up. There's no trees, so how's there any oxygen?
So I don't know how that works, but there is there
I
is
feel like
oxygen
that's like the
and
one thing where everyone be like, "Ah, shit."
there is oxygen in water though. So it's H2O.
It is H2O.
And
I don't know enough about science stuff.
There is a tree on the atoll. Not that it would produce enough oxygen for people, obviously.
Oh, yeah,
but
that
I'm
one
just saying.
tree just got everyone by.
Yeah.
They go over and take a big whiff of the leaf.
Yeah, everybody just goes over and cups their hand around it, and they're
I'm
good
just
to
gonna
go.
take a little bump.
Also, in 500 years, it may be we've adapted to
We've
not
mutated.
needing.
I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah, we don't need as much oxygen.
Yeah, like we have now learned to live without trees, so the body has now changed. And if we can have gills on one singular human, then we can,
Right.
not need trees to
There's a
breathe.
ton of ways to dig into it. So
I
mean,
still support the local, rainforests and woods and all that. Please do not tear them down in support of Waterworld.
damn it, I was starting a petition. Oh well, that's fine. I was building a boat and everything.
I know, Jackie, give me the boat. I would not live in a Waterworld situation at all. The moment I have to eat fish, I'd be like, yeah, you just go ahead and drown me.
I hate fish. I get seasick. I would not work well.
No,
on
I
Waterworld.
would not enjoy my time whatsoever. I would
And-
like the rum, but the rum would only get me so far.
And as I've said, I would have been a smoker already. I already know where I would have ended up. I'd have been working in the mechanics part. It's like, where did they maintain all their jet boats? I don't know. They were on a giant tanker of oil. I wonder how they maintained all their jet boats. I don't like that review guy. It was stupid. I don't like it. You're done. All right, man. Well, that's another one in the books for us, man. We have done Waterworld. Yeah, I'm happy. We did Waterworld.
Never thought it could happen.
No. Yeah, we did. We knew. It's just, we do an action podcast. Waterworld? Yes. That's going to happen eventually.
There was a Waterworld game on the Virtual Boy. Remember the Virtual Boy?
Barely, and it was a failure not because of the game, but because of the Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
That was the one that everything was like red, wasn't
Everything
it?
was red.
Yeah.
And like motion sickness.
Well, it worked for Waterworld. Maybe that was the game.
It did.
Maybe they just didn't understand how to play it. But all right, man. Well, just want to say thank you all for checking us out once again this week on the action side of the podcast. If you haven't yet, Nate and I did just appear on the Action Elite live stream where we did our giant Predator movie ranking.
Sit down for 2.5 hours.
Nate's
that one
premiere. You say that, but man, it's one of our best viewed videos. No, it was a lot of fun. Huge blast. Thanks everyone for having us on there. So
it was a lot of fun. I had a blast with it. I was getting more and more amped up, like leading into the launch. I
was dressed as Blaine, and yes, watch the video. You'll see me dressed as Blaine from Predator. And we still haven't decided on the actual next movie we're doing, but we know one that we are going to do on our live stream. So stay tuned for us announcing that. And if this comes out before then, I don't know. You'll just be like, oh yeah, you already did that, dumbass. So yeah, like I said, we don't have a set schedule for our YouTube streams. We just kind of do one when it strikes our fancy, or when someone has time to actually do stuff on schedule. Unlike,
hey man, when the chance to see the original Nightmare on Elm Street in a movie theater happens, you jump on that.
Yeah, I didn't knock you for that. I mean, that's fine.
The score was fantastic to hear that in that sound system.
I bet.
Also, I did not remember how low of a body count that movie has.
Very, very low body
3, 4 with an asterisk.
Yeah, the mom doesn't really count at the end, does she?
I don't know. I mean, it's all clearly a dream, but it's also one of those things where it's like I don't think we ever really knew what to do with Freddy when it comes to ending those movies.
No, and that as much as I like the shock factor of that, it totally is a mannequin he's dragging through the window of that door.
It's such a great mannequin.
So stiff. It's like she turns into. It's like she does the movie Mannequin, and she turns back into the department store.
Yep.
Pulls it through the window. I was like,
So
it's one of the only
that's what
downsides to the
led
first one.
to a Saturday and Costner feature.
That's fine. Coffee and Costner, man. We'll take it.
Mhm.
So, all right, guys, make sure you check us out over on all of our social media. We are on Facebook groups, Give Me Back My Action and Give Me Back My Horror, Instagram under the same, TikTok, Twitter. I'm trying to stay more active on Twitter. We are on YouTube. We have videos up. Please go check them out. We did a review on Prey, which was actually pretty awesome. We did a live chat. Also, check out all the other shows in the network. You've heard us say them. You hear the commercials, so you know where to go. So just please,
I've got a bone to pick with you, Pete.
Oh, with
I'm
Pete.
calling you out, Pete, of
Uh-oh.
Good Beer, Bad Movie Night. How the hell are you going to do John Carpenter's Vampires and not invite Charlie and I? That was really mean. It hurt my feelings.
Not only that, their ratings of that movie really upset me. So I adore that movie. Period. It's one of my favorite Carpenter movies. He has plenty of others. It's not like my top 5 or anything, but
He didn't tell us that he was going to do that.
he didn't. They also didn't
No.
tell us they were doing Machete. They didn't tell us when they're
Yeah,
doing
I know. It's almost
Maximum
like there's been
Overdrive.
some moments of crossover here that I drink beer too.
It's like, I don't like action movies, Charlie. Then why have you done so many on your show? Okay. I mean, even just for us to just run some stuff by us once in a time,
Yeah,
Pete.
just say, like maybe if one of you are free, it doesn't have to be both of us. We're not a combo package. We're our own people.
We are. I just brought Nate on to the Action Elite. I've been on that one for a while.
I may never get invited back. I made a lot of people mad. So.
You might. Who knows? I'm not saying we've had meetings. I'm not saying we haven't.
I'm not saying that there's a separate group text now.
Maybe. But no, I think sometimes there's just certain movies you should run by us. That's all.
If you're gonna think about doing a movie, you know that like maybe one of us would enjoy it, you just send us an invite.
That's right. It's like I won't do any more werewolf movies. Is that the problem? Is that what you're mad about, Pete? All the werewolf movies?
Is it because we're taking the werewolf movies and he wants them for his own show?
He can do werewolf movies. I happily would have gave him Wolf in exchange for vampires. I would have done that.
That's a fair deal in this
I thought
market.
it was a fair deal. All right, man. I think we're done. You got anything else?
No, I got nothing else. What's a good word, Charlie?
Dryland's a myth. All right, man. We got another email, Nate.
We do?
Yeah, we got another email.
I think I lost access to the email, honestly.
Oh, well, you just have to sign back in. All right. Well, we have more fan fiction. Another bit of fan fiction for your long lost co-host. Oh, he must feel bad that he did vampires without us. So,
oh, maybe that's why he emailed us.
So here's our first one: Reign of Fire, Rise of the Werevrin. I guess I'm saying it right. Humanity digs up a dragon egg. Dragon is born and wipes out most of humanity. Dragons rule the day. The film ends like a zombie movie where everything feels hopeless. Oh, okay. Part 2.
I'm on board right now. That sounds like the first movie.
Yeah. Part 2. Reign of Fire, Hell on Earth. A survival story as humanity tries to grab a foothold just to escape complete extinction. An ancient book is unearthed describing how the dragons were originally defeated, and it becomes a race to get the information out to the world. That's movie 2.
Okay. All right. So right now what I'm feeling is these are universe movies. They're not technically direct sequels, it seems. These seem like these are all movies taking place in the same universe, and we're kind of getting different areas of the Reign of Fire.
I mean, it could be, but I'm also getting like this is kind of like a Lord of the Rings type trilogy thing. So
Ooh, okay.
Here we go. Reign of Fire, Rise of Terran. Copies of the ancient book have been smuggled around the world at great cost to the humankind. See see Star Wars Rogue One. He had to put a little footnote in there.
Oh, okay.
Using the book, weapons are forged to fight back the dragon horde and slowly regain dominance of the earth. Even with the new weapons, can the human population outlast the current kings of the world? I'm going to say nope, and then we get Waterworld.
Oh, what if the dragons lead into Waterworld?
See, all the dragon breath causes global warming and dragon farts.
Yeah,
And
and then those melt the polar ice caps.
Yep.
And then Waterworld 2 is Waterworld 2, The Hunt for the Dragon Egg.
Waterworld 2, Sea Dragon.
Whoa.